King Richard is out now in theaters and on HBO Max. Stars Will Smith as Richard Williams, who is the father of Serena and Venus Williams. King Richard is a look at how tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams became who they are after the coaching from their father, Richard Williams, and his moral values for what he wants for his family and what he thinks is best, despite people trying to persuade him to sign business contracts and him actually trying to convince coaches to take on his daughters to coach them in tennis. King Richard is one of those movies in a long line for the past month and a half, I would say. No Time to Die set a new precedent for every frickin' movie release every week now that has to be 2.5 hours or longer, some of them pushing 3. King Richard falls into that category, but with its 2 hour and 24 minute runtime, I never felt like it was actually 2 hours and 24 minutes. It felt more on the side of an hour and 50, 2 hours. So I guess that's to say I was interested and engrossed in what was happening on screen because the movie never felt as long as it actually was. And because the movie never felt as long as it actually was, that means the movie actually had a good pace to it. Sometimes these long movies feel like an eternity. Like, for instance, I brought up No Time to Die, 2 hours and 43 minutes. Doesn't feel like it's 2 hours and 43 minutes. The Last Duel, 2.5 hours. Doesn't feel like it's 2.5 hours. Dune, 2 hours and 35 minutes. Dune felt like I was watching it for 5 years, and I had aged visibly by the end of it. Thank God Ghostbusters Afterlife was not 2.5 hours. Eternals, 2.5 hours. Didn't feel 2.5 hours, but it did feel a little bit long in the tooth at times. But luckily, throughout its entire runtime, King Richard was able to hold my interest, mostly because of Will Smith's performance as Richard Williams. I was aware that he was getting considerable buzz for his performance as the father of both Venus and Serena Williams. And that's a big reason why I wanted to check out this movie. I like Will Smith. Will Smith is one of the most bankable and likable stars in Hollywood today. I mean, he's got a successful movie career. He's got a successful music career. He's a known commodity. So I think Will Smith actually really shines when you put him in dramas like this. I haven't seen a performance like this from Will Smith since probably The Pursuit of Happiness, which up to this point I thought was his best performance. So this is definitely Will Smith's best performance I've seen in years. And in between, he's made some fun movies. I mean, I enjoy the Bad Boys movies. Bad Boys for Life was a big surprise last year. I thought that was going to suck, and I really actually ended up enjoying that. But something like Gemini Man, not one of his best. However, he is the best part of that movie, despite how bad that movie is. So even if he makes a bad movie, he's usually the best part of it, no matter what the quality of the movie is. And his performance really actually was a strange one for me because, and I'm not saying Will Smith is bad in the movie and that the reception towards his performance isn't worthy of Oscar nominations or, people talking about the awards buzz for Will Smith in this movie. The performance for me really changed from when the movie started to when the movie ended. When it began, I was aware I was watching Will Smith. Like, I felt as if I was watching Will Smith acting before my eyes. However, as the movie progressed to the point of the ending of the movie, Will Smith had completely disappeared. I went from watching Will Smith to watching the real-life Richard Williams. I thought that Richard Williams had walked into this movie, de-aged himself by, 30 years and was actually playing himself in the movie, and I was no longer watching Will Smith. And I guess that's a strange comparison to make as to how someone's performance changes from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, but that's honestly how I felt, and that's nothing against Will Smith. But Will Smith soars in this movie, and I'm not sure the actress that plays his wife in this movie. I'm going to try and pronounce her name. Aunjanue Ellis, who plays Richard Williams' wife in this movie, I thought was equally as great as Will Smith in this movie. And I think that we're overlooking her performance in this movie, and she should also be considered for an Oscar nomination. And I haven't seen anybody talk about Oscar buzz for her. She was phenomenal as well. If you're going into this movie looking for a biopic about either Serena Williams or Venus Williams, I think you're going to be disappointed. They're in this movie, but they're in this movie as a way to serve the story to show us how Richard Williams operates and what his values and moral codes are and how he wants the best for his two daughters to succeed on the biggest stage possible. I don't know. I have to ask my friend Larry over at Chili Boy Productions because he's big on Serena and Venus Williams. He's big fans of them. So I got to ask him how accurate this movie was. But for me, I would say that if I had read up on the history of the Williams family, I would say it's probably going to be really accurate. And from what they show at the end from actual footage, they recreate a lot of the footage that Richard Williams himself recorded with his daughters, and they recreated that for the movie and told it in a more fictionalized way. Of course, I mean, you have to work around some boundaries when it comes to real life stories, but I thought it was very well done. It has its darker moments, especially towards the beginning, but it also has its inspirational moments, especially towards the end. But everything in the middle, the meat of the movie, the middle, was the part of the movie that got me the most interested, because I just like seeing how Richard Williams operated. He's offered contracts by Jon Bernthal's character, and Jon Bernthal's character's like, yeah, you have like $3 million here, and this is a sponsorship and a contract. This is the best route to go. And Richard Williams is like, no, like, I don't want that. And you can just see how irritable this man is, to the point where it seems like he's a bit of a psycho. The best way to describe him in this movie, and this is why Will Smith's performance is so good in this movie, because he captured all of these emotions so well. But it just seems like, and I don't know how it is in real life, but it seemed like the way Richard Williams wanted his daughters to succeed was to use a lot of arrogance and self-awareness against people. Like, he's very arrogant in this movie, to the point where, as I said before, it seems like he's a psychopath. He's very irritable, and a lot of people don't want to deal with him. He doesn't want to deal with the media. They don't want to deal with him. He's a very controversial figure in the sport of tennis because of how he handled these situations. But the movie offers insight into those situations, and it offers valuable insight into those situations as to his reasons why. And I could see where he was coming from. And a movie like this has to do that for me. So I was able to gravitate more towards the reasons and why he was acting like an obnoxious prick the whole movie. I guess that made me feel a little bit different about him as a person, but at the same time, I still found him likable enough. You can have a main character in a movie that isn't likable and still be a really well-written character, and even if you don't find him likable in this movie, he's still a well-written character. He's just a man with self-professed goals, and he wants to carry out his goals. He doesn't want the goals of anybody else to interfere with his life and his family. He wants what's best for his kids, and he wants what's best for his family. And the movie really struck a chord with me with that. Even though it does play off a lot of pettiness that he may have towards the media, coaches that coached Venus and Serena Williams, and even his own family. There was a surprising amount of tension there that I wasn't expecting, and it really paid off for me in the end. Some of the tennis sequences did bother me in the movie, though, because when the tennis matches are filmed in the movie, most of the time you only see it from one side's perspective, and that's mostly from the opponent's side. Serena or Venus Williams are shown from a distance. There are shots of them that have close-ups or shown from the side, but for the most part, you only get a one-sided perspective of these tennis matches, and I just didn't think that that was beneficial. I would like to have seen what was going on the other side as well, as opposed to just one side. It's a criticism a lot of people have with The Phantom Menace, where the pod race is just the camera spanning from left to right, left to right, left to right. That's a very similar feeling that I had with the tennis matches in this movie. And that's my major complaint with King Richard. I didn't get a whole well-rounded feel of the moment of the tennis matches, as opposed to the tension that the meat of the movie set up with Richard Williams and all the outside forces that are converging on him to try and get him to make Serena Williams and Venus Williams as great as they can be if it's not his own way. Like, he wants to be the coach. That's what was more interesting to me. The tennis matches came second. I really enjoyed King Richard with a full bucket of popcorn. Whew. 2021. The year movies returned after about a year absence. Movies are back. A lot of positive reviews from me in the past few weeks. I feel like I've said this in years past, but 2021 in particular, this is a lot more of a special year. Lots of positive reviews lately, and that makes me happy, honestly. Movies are back. Movies are good again. Oh, man. Just stop with the astronomical runtimes, though, please. I'm burnt out at this point. I don't think I could sit through another 2.5 to 3 hour movie this year, but I mean, House of Gucci's 2.5. Spider-Man's probably going to be 2 hours and 40. Oh my God. Stop with these long movies. But movies, great movies, have returned. And that's all that matters to me. So have you guys seen King Richard? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.